This is State of the Arts, a show about the arts, theater, and creatives in and around the Philippines. For each episode, we invite industry leaders, arts practitioners, and audience members to talk about current events that shape and further the arts in the country. My name is Christopher. Let's talk art.
Your mother. She was an opera singer and a professor at the UP College of Music.
Right.
She likely influenced your musical path despite discouraging you, perhaps, and your siblings from pursuing music. Could you share with us how you navigated this parental advice and pursued your passion for music despite the challenges?
When I was born, my mother had been singing all throughout her life, and she actually during the war she even won grand prize in a concourse. It's what they call it. It's like a vocal competition.
Okay.
She won it, and I would understand the feeling of elation being a winner, but later on, I actually know what it means to have no career or no financial stability with music. And that's precisely what she told my father. None of the children should have a career in music because it's financially unstable. So I can imagine all of us siblings, all of my cousins, all of us were taking the kind of profession that would have a company. I mean, you're an employee. So it's like building your company. So they needed employees. That's why most of my cousins are business administration graduates.
Right.
You know, like marketing, accounting, finance, and all that. And that included me because
I was going to say, yes.
Yeah.
I found out, yeah. When you first went to college, you actually took bachelor's in business administration.
business administration major in accounting. So you can imagine that was my first 2 years. I was in a block full of freshmen and sophomore, all taking business administration. But something happened. I must maybe rewind a bit.
Okay.
So I grew up in a household where there's a lot of music. My mother, when she was teaching at the UP, she accepted about 10 lady boarders who lived in our house inside the campus. They were all taking music. So you can imagine everyone was rehearsing, playing. Music was in the house. It was unescapable.
Right.
So, and then when I was 6 years old, my mom died. And we had to leave the UP campus, and my father built a small bungalow in UP Village. And so we hauled all our stuff. One day, and I'm talking about 9, 10 years old,
Okay.
I saw a box full of piano pieces left behind by the boarders. And by the time I was 9, 10, I was still playing very simple piano. But since there was so much music, in about 2, 3 years, I was already playing Prelude and Fugues by Bach. I was already reading Schumann pieces for piano, children's pieces. Very simple pieces at first, but by the time I was about 14, I was already sight reading heavier Bach preludes and fugues, and Beethoven. I was doing all that, but I was not sure if I had a good sound because nobody was telling me your tones are good or whatever. But I remember since I was doing that, I trained myself to read. You know, Chris, by the time I graduated from high school, the first thing on my mind was to try to get a job as a musician, because that was so easy for me, playing the piano. It just so happened that in a music store in Quiapo, a cousin who I hadn't seen for a long time, she said, "Oh, malaki ka na pala, and you can play piano. You know they need a pianist in the DVP Choral Ensemble. The pianist just left for the U.S.
Okay.
So why don't you audition?" And I auditioned. That was my first job at 15. Of course, I lied. I said I was 18
I see.
because, of course, they wouldn't hire me. But then eventually, when I was already there and they liked the way I played, and because I could read at sight whatever they put and I could play, they hired me. And then eventually they knew I was younger than 18, but that was okay because I was already inside.
Sure.
That was my first job as a musician at 15. And then later on, I met, we called tambay in the UP College of Music. I hanged out a lot there because a lot of musicians stayed there. I mean, hanged out there, and I liked listening to the music there. Even though I was at the College of Business Administration,
Okay.
much of my what do you call this? My tambay time, I'd spend at the UP College of Music.
Okay.
And then, therefore, I met the UP Concert Chorus, the Philippine Madrigal Singers, and national artist Andrea Ofilada Veneracion invited, "Why don't you join the MADS? I mean, go train with us." I trained with the MADS. I did a concert with them. I arranged for them. And then they got me to train in one big show at the CCP. It was called Best of Broadway. And this was basically where I started another profession because I met Kokoy Laurel.
Okay.
He was the star of the show, Victor Laurel. And he liked the way I played the piano. I didn't play the piano in the show.
Sure.
But I just went to rehearsals very early. I was part of the MADS. I went to the rehearsals early. I played on the piano. It was inside the CCP big theater. And then he comes early and he listens to me and he plays and we jam.
Okay.
So every time before the formal rehearsals started, we jammed. And then one day he said, "Why don't you come to the house? I have a party, and why don't we, have a jamming session?
Okay.
We'll sing all this Broadway music stuff and whatever music that because I could, during that time, I remember I could play any kind of requests that people ask me,
would
"Could you
ask
play
you,
this?"
right.
Yeah, and I play for them, and they sing. That's it. And then one day, the father of Kokoy Laurel, the senator, called me to his office and said, "Sip," I'm Cipriano, that's my name. They didn't call me Ryan before. They called me Sip. "Why are you taking business administration?"
I see.
And then I had to explain, well, my mom, my dad, etc., not to take up music. And then he gave me a very meaningful lecture. And the gist of that lesson for that afternoon was, he said, "You can do anything, be anything you want, and still serve your community. But you can do that best if you are the best in what you're doing.
Of course.
If you are an authority of what you're doing, and if you learn everything about what you're doing, you don't have to worry about jobs, looking for jobs. The jobs will come looking for you because you are an authority, you're the best in what you're doing."
Right.
And so this is the catch. So my family has decided to offer you a scholarship in any music course that you want. You go home tonight, you tell your father that the Laurels are offering you a scholarship to any music school. So I come home, and at 12, and my father opens the door, and I said, "Dad, the Laurels are offering me a scholarship in music." And then he said, "How old are you now?" And I said, "I'm 18.
Okay.
And he retorts, "You are old enough to decide for yourself." And that was the start of my going to the UP College of Music
see.
and really 100% full blast music career, whatever or wherever it takes me.
Right. Well, you talk about your first job, your first foray on stage. Do you still remember your very first composition?
You know, Chris, as a matter of fact, I have an extant composition at age 11.
Oh, wow.
Now, all I have to do is just try to look for that. It's a music book, you know, the music writing book of what you call elementary or grade school music writing book. I wrote it in that music book. 11 years old, I was already writing music, as in notes. And that was my very first composition.
Okay.
But if you ask me professionally, maybe one of these songs could be the Patas theme or it's a television awards theme, or a song used in a special television special with the minstrels. It's called "Treat Your Feet with Kindness." The lyrics were written by Tats Rehante. So it's any of those two songs, because I remember writing for television productions.
I see.
Because it was not my profession yet as a composer. It was like I was just starting as an arranger. And for a long, long time, I said, I don't have to compose because there is a job for arrangers. And that's what I keep on telling everybody. If you want to enter the music industry, job that pays is an arranger producer, the one who arranges the music, because they'll be paid. They're like a supplier. They're not treated as creatives or they're not treated then. Because now they look back and say, and they think that the arrangers are also creative, so they should be given royalties for what they do. But it's not still in place. But during that time, it was a job as a supplier for writing arrangements. So that's what my work was for a long, long time, until something snapped. I thought, when people learn about songs, when they hear songs on the radio, the first thing they will say, that was sung by this person. It's a singer, the most important thing. Maybe the composer, they will ask, who's the composer? Maybe. But they never ask who the arranger is. So I had been arranging all my life, and we are there always in the background. You know, it's like we are the unsung heroes, because, like, for example, a song by this person, it's the arranger who actually physicalizes the sound of, what the bass player will play, what the violins will play, what the flute players will play. That's what the arranger does. And that's why they're paid a little higher than everybody else in the industry. But that point in time, I said, we are not known. And I told myself, I also want to be known. So I said, I'm going to start writing. So my very, very first foray into competition, I wrote this song, Isang Awit. I sang it in the competition. I won third prize. And after I got a third prize, the realization is, I should not sing my song if it's a competition. You should have a professional singer sing it, which is why the second time I joined the competition, it was the first Metropop Song Festival for Kay Ganda ng Ating Musika. I asked Haji Alejandro to sing the song. And so it won grand prize. They sent us to Korea. We won grand prize in the Seoul Song Festival. And I said, that's why every time somebody tells me, is your advice to budding songwriters?
Okay.
If you're not a good singer, let the professionals
Somebody
sing
else
your
do it.
song. That's it.
Talking about you as a composer, listening to your songs, it's quite obvious that there is a lot of, and you tell me if it's true or not, there's a lot of importance given to Filipino culture and heritage as part of your songs and compositions. Are all of these intentional? Have you always thought that when I write music, I want to honor our Filipino heritage?
Many of my first few songs, actually, I didn't want to delve into love songs because that's what all we do, love songs. But, I understand too that it is the sentimental songs, the sentimental love songs that the regular Filipino listener, they like to hear that kind of music. But then I said, I want to be different, which is why I wrote all these type of songs about, the coconut nut. I wrote
Okay.
songs about Smoky Mountain. I wrote songs about Steel to Eat. I'm talking about a certain sector in society that needs to be developed or that needs help. And then I also talked about not all the world is America because actually your world can be anywhere you are. You just have to make it yourself and just be conscious about developing your own personality and helping the community. Which is why you're saying that it's the other thing that makes it culture-based is during the last decade, I'm talking about 2010 to about 2020, 21, I did a lot of workshops.
Right.
Elements workshop, Elements Music Camp, the Phil Pop Camp. We did the a cappella open. This is all what do you call this? All educational stuff, teaching people how to do it correctly, teaching them, the young people, our experiences. Because my mantra is, which I keep on repeating, the next generation should be better than our generation. Because for the entire industry to move, we will tell them, we will share with them, and we will teach them how to do it better. Or if not, if they don't like it that way, we will tell them how we did it. Bahala kayo, how you're gonna do it now. But these are the learnings. Let us share with you our learnings. So, which is why maybe you have this impression that I'm doing this for the culture. It's also because there's another movement which we have been pushing. It's the hyperlocal movement, meaning use your language to express yourself. Let me explain it this way. Many of us, even us, let's say when we started, writing in Filipino, but there's this thing in our minds, we want to make it international. And we think that to make it international, we have to think English. Okay. Thinking English is okay if you're thinking in a certain direction. But if you're thinking of promoting your Filipino-ness, it's best to promote it first in your language. Because your language has a certain inflection, they have certain characteristics that make it distinct, make the sound very distinct.
Okay.
And I'm not talking about Tagalog only. I'm talking about Cebuano, Ilocano, Kapampangan, Bicolano, Hiligaynon. If you use a language which you can express yourself sincerely and very well, use that language. That's the other advocacy we've been espousing. So maybe that's why I feel
Right.
that.
I think, Mr. C, that's a good segue to my next question. Just listening to you and all of your efforts, part of the triumphs of your illustrious career, right, is you receiving the National Artist Recognition. Do you feel a certain sort of responsibility, talking about everything you just said earlier, towards preserving and promoting Filipino music more so now than prior to you being recognized as one of our national artists?
This is, well, there's no catch there being national artist, because whether they gave me national artist or not, I will continue doing what I am doing. And that is, first of all, really enjoying myself, doing my music, creating works that I think reflect my expression of how a Filipino is. Because if you're so conscious about how you are, for a long time in the 70s, maybe also in the 80s, there was this lingering question: what is the Filipino? Ano ba yung totoong Pilipino? So, all this is always the same question over and over. Well, the truth is, you are the Filipino already. And you should really start working from inside and expressing yourself outside. Because whatever you do, this is you. You are a mix. It's in my blood. I'm probably Spanish, Chinese, Malay, Indian. I have all that in my blood, and you cannot deny that. That's really part of you. So the first thing you do is accept who you are, what you are, and be happy about it, and create whatever it is. Whether I think this is where a lot of people make mistakes. Just create whatever you feel like creating, because this is you. The mistake is trying to distill. I'm not saying it's a mistake. I'm just saying that if that's what you want, go. If you want to sound Western, go. Because you're really not going to sound 100% Western.
Right.
I am very sure of that. You have to, for example, America Top 40, you have to grow up there. You have to live there. You have to breathe, eat, and share the same climate, the food, and the way people live to be able to express that kind of music. Here, the way to express it is by being yourself.